Hi everyone, and welcome to the IBCHE Homeschooling Q&A Session. We are here to answer all of your questions that you sent in. Thank you for those. And we realize that not all of you are going to choose homeschooling, and that's your business, but we're hopeful to give you some answers today. So we're going to get to it because there's a ton of questions. The first thing we're going to do is introduce ourselves very quickly. My name is Laura. I have two kids. They are in elementary school, and I've been homeschooling for about 5 years. Pauline, you're up.
Hi, I'm Pauline, and I have 4 kiddos, and we have been homeschooling for, this is going on our 6th year, and the ages are upper elementary to lower, all the way down to kindergarten, so 5th grade to kindergarten.
I'm Leanne, and I have 4 children. They're all adults now, and we have graduated all of them. We have homeschooled for 19 years. So.
Okay, we're going to get to the first section. The first section is on teaching. Actually, I should preface this by saying the #1 question everyone asked was legal stuff about how to homeschool in the state of Virginia, and I've done a whole separate video on that because that was just a lot of information. So you can check that one out separately. The rest of the questions should be in this video, okay? So the first section is on teaching. The biggest question was, how do you school multiple grades all at once? And then some of the other questions and fears in there were that people weren't sure that they'd be able to properly educate their children or meet the state standards. They're also, they weren't sure that homeschooling would provide a challenging enough education for bright students. And then the last question was how much online learning is required each day. I'm going to start with that last question because I think it's the easiest one. There's no online schooling required. It's whatever you choose, whatever curriculum you choose. My children have no online curriculum at all. The only time they ever use a screen is if maybe, you know, we read a book. I might let them watch the movie at the end of the week. And my son does a little bit of coding, and he types now on a computer, but other than that, we don't use anything online. So you don't have to use a screen. You don't have to use any online programming.
Mm-hmm. But there are, there are curriculums, or there's a lot out there. So if that is an option that you're looking for, that's definitely something you can pursue. But if you're concerned about your youngers having to be online or in front of a screen, there are a lot of curriculums that are old school that are just book, you know, pencil and a notebook.
Yeah, we use a pile of books in our house. So, so that was the easy question. All right, so let's do the harder question. I'm going to throw this out to you because both of you have 4 kids. How do you school multiple grades all at once? Leanne, I think we'll start with you on this one.
All right. Well, I think the key to doing this is twofold. First of all, you're going to spend a little extra time in the beginning teaching at least your older ones how to do school themselves, because quite honestly, they are very capable of doing that. Kindergarten to 2nd grade, it requires more one-on-one time, but children probably about 4th grade and up, they can pretty much do everything on their own. So we're simply there just to be a guide and help when needed, and then discuss big ideas with them. One of the things that I would do is I would kind of give them their checklist as to what they needed to do in the morning, and then in the afternoon I would have like 30 minutes with, well, 20, just depends on their ages, but you know, 20 to 30 minutes. So let's go over your math, let's go over what you did here, and you know, if they had questions, that was my one-on-one time to answer those, and then you know, decide where we needed to go from there. But that was the one thing. The second thing is combining some of the subjects. While each like language arts and math, they kind of need to be on their own grade level, you can always combine history, science, the fine arts, and that kind of thing. Don't double do. Definitely do it all together. And you are capable of doing that even if they have different learning styles, and they have to, you know, you just give them different things to do that they are capable of doing on the same.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Leanne said. So my kiddos, like I said, my oldest will be going into 5th grade this year, and my youngest will just be starting kindergarten. So I'm in the trenches with elementary, and when the young in 3rd grade and below, there's a lot of one-on-one work that needs to be done. So that does take up more time in that sense. if you're doing like a reading program or a phonics program, that's going to require one-on-one. And same with some of the math, but as you progress through, as they're older, if they're readers, my older two, who will be in 5th grade and 3rd grade, their math, we use Saxon. And a lot of math programs are like this, where, you know, you might cover the new concept with them, and then they can, because they're old enough and they can read through, they can work independently then after you've introduced those. And while they're working, I can either choose to do math with my youngers, or if I feel like their phonics program, this is a better time for them to get started on that, then we might do phonics I might do phonics with my younger ones while my olders are working on math. So, I mean, that is the benefit, is you have that flexibility. You don't have to do math at 8 o'clock. You certainly can, but you can also kind of move things around and, you know, do what works best for your schedule. So, and I'll preface everything with grace. There's a lot of grace that goes into homeschooling in all of the areas, and especially if you're homeschooling multiple children, multiple ages, it takes a few weeks to get into a routine. And so even though you might have been doing it for many years, I'm guilty of that, where it still takes us every year, because everyone's in a different age group or a different season in their schooling, that it takes us a few weeks to kind of figure out our routine and figure out what works. And, you know, and it takes a little bit to figure out what of the subjects are one-on-one, and what are things that, you know, we can do as a group, and whether it's start the day in a group setting with, you know, with devotion, which I highly encourage. And one of our other moms who was supposed to be on here tonight also wanted to say that you can't go wrong starting your day doing a devotion, reading scripture, because it just sets the tone and atmosphere for your homeschool. And so we do our best to try and do that, whether it's one of my kids reading a verse out of the devotions book, or I'm reading a passage or a devotion with them. But it's something where it just helps to create that atmosphere, because hopefully your focus is God in all of this, that He's calling you to do this, to be on this path. And so that just helps refocus your morning. And I have a friend who, like, if they start off their day and things start to go haywire from the get-go, she's like, okay, reset, everybody back to Bible time, go back to devotion, and we're going to start over. And you have that. You have the flexibility. You have the freedom to do that and to reset your day and then go about it. And so there's a lot of grace and a lot of flexibility in this. I don't know if I answered that question, Laura. But yeah, homeschooling multiple children, it's, you know, it'll take a few weeks to get into a routine with it, but it can be done for sure.
The other thing was, there were 2 fears here, that people were afraid they wouldn't be able to properly educate their children or meet state standards. I would encourage you, for whatever county you're in, if you're in Fairfax County, the SOLs are posted within the homeschool section. If you go to home education, in the first video, I show you how to get to that page. But the SOL standards are there. I look at them every year, and they're not that difficult to reach. So pretty much most curriculums are going to meet or exceed those standards. So that's not something to be afraid of. Anybody have anything else on that?
No.
No. Okay. The other one was, I'm not sure homeschooling will provide challenging enough education for bright students. Again, not something you need to worry about, because you can always challenge them a little bit more. It's actually really good for gifted students, because the sky's the limit.
Yes.
So,
and there's a lot of curriculum out there, so you can even, I mean, and I think we're going to get to curriculums in a little bit, but there's so many, I mean, you can scale. You can scale up or you can scale down.
Yep. Okay. So those were all of the teaching questions. So I think the next one we will do is